Nimeweka live. We are live on Facebook.
Okay. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook.
Yes, we are live.
Let the people join, then we start at 10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put your poster there.
All right.
If you're watching us, please share the live stream. We are going to start at 10 sharp. So we are waiting for people to join and then we start at 10. I'm seeing we have some people online. Thank you for joining. Share the live stream to your friends, to your Facebook account, to your Twitter, so that we start at 10. Thank you for joining. I'm seeing we have a lot of people joining on Facebook. Tell us where you're joining from. Share the live. We start at 10 sharp. So we have around 10 minutes before we start. Thank you so much. I see we have a lot of people joining. Tell us where you're joining from so that we shout out to you. Thank you for joining. We start at 10 sharp. So we are waiting for people to join. We have our Dr. Mihindo online waiting to take us through the online webinar. So please tune in and share to your friends, to your colleagues, to your followers so that they join our live. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people joining, continue joining. We are about to start. We start at 10 sharp. Thank you for joining. If you're joining us from maybe not Nairobi, someone else, tell us, where are you joining from? For me, I'm joining from PELUM Kenya offices. So I wish to know where you're tuned from. Please tell us so that we give you a shout out. Dr. Mihindo, maybe you can share your screen so that we start at 10 sharp. Thank you. You can put it in presentation. Yeah, I hear Henry Mudomi from Meru. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for joining. So for those who have just joined, we are starting at 10 sharp. So right now is 5 minutes to 10. So once 10 reaches, we start immediately. Thank you for joining us. Continue to share the live stream. So to our followers who are joining from Facebook, thank you so much. Please share the live stream to your friends, to your colleagues, to your followers, so that all of us will learn about integrated pest management. Thank you so much for joining. So right now is around 9:57. We have 3 minutes to start. We start at 10 sharp. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. We have a lot of people online following. We start at 10 sharp, so we have around 3 minutes and then we start. Tell us where you're joining from. For me, I'm joining from PELUM Kenya offices. Tell us, where are you from? Where are you tuned from? So far, I'm seeing we have around 10 people online following us on Facebook. All right, because we start at 10, so I'm going to introduce myself and then I introduce the guests so that we start immediately at 10. So my name is Ratemo Mora. I work for PELUM Kenya. I'm a program officer. And at PELUM, I also support in terms of implementation of the KCOA project. KCOA stands for Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture in Eastern Africa. And today we have a privilege. We have one of the master trainers who is going to take us through the webinar on integrated pest management. And in this webinar, we expect all of us to learn and also unlearn. Maybe there are some things you thought was right, but it's not right. And at the end of the session, we're going to have questions and answers. So comment on Facebook if you have a question, and I'm going to read it out. So I want to welcome Dr. Nehemiah Mihindo. He's going to tell us a brief about him, what he does, where you can find him, and then introduce our topic. So karibu sana daktari, and we are so privileged to have you.
Thank you very much, Ratemo. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Nehemiah Mihindo. I work for an organization called Effective Integrated Pest Management Association, or Effective Eipma Association. We are based in Ruiru here in Kenya, and we promote integrated pest management and other agroecology practices among smallholder farmers. And we work through partnerships with the organized groups. And the organized groups includes other NGOs, other self-help groups, community-based organizations, and other interested organized groups. So our mandate is to promote healthy living through looking for ways of improving our pest management systems. And today we are going to discuss about integrated pest management as one of the ways of making sure that we produce our food sustainably. And as Ratemo has put it, we expect that we are going to have a lot of interactions through sharing. And whenever you need to raise a question, please raise it so that we can be able to discuss. So as you know, this topic on food production is the most important, especially in Africa, because Africa is food deficient. And when we are talking about sustainable food production, we are talking about a system that will ensure that actions that are taken towards food production use methods that are safe, methods that are environmentally friendly, and not methods that will not pollute the entire environment. You know that food production, the food production chain starts from, is a very long chain. But we want in every section of the chain that we take care of our own health, that we take care of the health of other animals, and that we take care of the entire environment. And we just don't want to produce food so that the population is happy, so that the population gets enough to eat. But we want to produce food that is good for them, food that will make them healthy, but will not make them sick. We always say that our health is our wealth. You can have a lot of money, you can have a lot of properties, but if you are not healthy, then you are useless. But if you don't have money, but you are healthy, you can be able to look for money. So that's why we say that our health is our most important wealth. So today we are going to talk about the issue of pest management, which is a very, very important area in farm production. I'm saying about farm production because we have always talked about crop production, but we also find that even in animals, we need to reduce the use of chemicals and replace them with better systems that will give us healthy milk, that will give us healthy meat and other animal products. So we are saying that we look at a farm as a system where all the components are healthy, where all the components are taking care of the principles of organic agriculture. That is the principle of care, principle of health, the principle of ecology, and so that in every step, you look at what you are doing and evaluate yourself and see, am I taking care of those principles? And also, we want systems that are economically viable. So today we are going to discuss about integrated pest management, and we want to relate it to the production chain that we have. So I want to start by saying that in food security and increased income are primary goals of the poor farmers. We know that the poor farmers don't look for a lot. All they want is enough food to eat. And because farm sizes have kept on now reducing, you can see that like in Kenya, most of the farms are now being converted into building estates where big buildings are coming up. Around Nairobi, we used to have a lot of coffee, but now the people are building houses for residential purposes. So land for agriculture has kept on reducing. And what does that mean? It means that if we reduce the amount of land that is being cultivated, if we are not careful, we shall also reduce the amount of food that is being produced. And that one now affects our livelihood. Food is the most important thing. You can sleep outside, but it is hard for you to sleep without food. You can stay without good clothing, but when you don't have food, then it is a big, big issue. I'm saying that the poverty levels in Africa has kept on also increasing. We are talking about the poverty levels increasing from one year to another. And it is estimated that 10% increase in farm youth was reduced to 7% in Africa. That is around 2001. According to International Fund for Agriculture Development, an increase of just 1% in agriculture per capita gross product would reduce the poverty gap 5 times more than a similar increase in GDP in any other sector. So I'm here I want to show the importance of agriculture in our sector. If we increase the amount of food that we produce, the other sectors will also be boosted because the money will be directed elsewhere. And most of this is targeting the poor people. So it is important to help smallholders to produce more food, and this is going to help in alleviating poverty. Sorry. So this is going to help in alleviating poverty, and we will agree with me that African countries are food deficient. So what we are saying is that let us have systems that are helping our rural communities, systems that are helping to build resilience in our community production cycles. So in our discussion today, let us discuss points that will help our communities to be more resilient, that will help our communities to manage the natural resources that they have, and to make sure that all the systems that the production systems that they are using, they are economically efficient. And also amongst the consumers, let us make sure that they know of what they are eating. And that is all that we are talking about integrated pest management. We know that in the world, pests have been used, and most of the times they have been misused. And I'm saying that the pests problem started after the Second World War with the introduction of the high-yielding varieties. These high-yielding varieties were very weak, and they were more susceptible to pests and diseases, and therefore the pesticides were introduced. And I would say that these pesticides are not bad because they kill the pests. They remove that problem of the pests. And the issue with them is when they get into our system. What do they do when they get into our system? And I have started by describing a pest. And the reason why I decided to describe a pest is because many people think that pests are insects. But I have said that pests are organisms that damage or interfere with the desirable plants in our fields and orchards, landscapes, or wildlands. So here I'll include also the animal life. Any organism that hinders the normal development of another is considered as a pest. It may hinder the normal development of another organism through either causing physical injury, what we call predation, or causing unfavorable conditions. Those unfavorable conditions are the ones we are calling diseases. So pests are either predators or they are what we call disease-causing organisms. There could be pests that also don't destroy your crops, don't destroy your animals, but they cause what we call nuisance. They will keep on running up and down on the plant They will keep running on up and down on the animal, and animal is not comfortable, and therefore its production is affected. Those ones, we also call them pests. So when we are talking about pests, let us not just think about insect pests. Let us not just think about predators. Let us not think about only disease-causing organisms, but pests are a combination of any organism that is interfering with the normal development of another. Now, I've said that it can be a plant, it can be a vertebrate, it can be an invertebrate, it can be a nematode, a pathogen, a bacteria, a virus, or a fungi that will cause unwanted or unfavorable conditions to another organism, and therefore lower the quality of that animal or the quality of that plant. So that is the definition that I have given to the pest. So when we are talking about pest management, we are talking about making sure that these organisms don't attack our plants. Now I have put some pictures just for fun, just to aphids. This is an aphid, and aphids is an insect, and it's very interesting to learn. Then we have the diamond bark moth. We have the fruit fly. This one is a sucking insect, the mealybug. And then we also have weeds. Weeds are also pests because they compete for nutrients with your crops. We have also diseases like the root knot, nematode. We have leaf miners, all spider mite. We have thrips. All these are pests. We have black rot. This is bacteria, and we have early blight. Then we have Fusidium mold, late blight. We have powdery mildew. Yes, those are examples of pests, and there are many more. Some of them, as I have said, are not. Don't destroy the crop or the animal directly, but they will cause nuisance. They will keep on running up and down. For instance, the fleas, or the black ants. The black ant will keep on running up and down to go and eat the little sugar that is produced by other pests, but it will not directly harm the plant. But that disturbance really affects your crop, and that will also affect your the production of your crop. So that is the definition of a pest. Yeah, we want to look at what we call pesticides, and under this topic, I want to say that a pesticide is any material that will interfere with the pest or will kill the pest. And as I've just said, pesticides were introduced after the Second World War. And you will agree with me that the first pesticide to be used was called arsenic. And arsenic was used for making weapons. And thereafter, more serious and more toxic pesticides have been used, have come up, and currently we can't count the number of pesticides that are there. I will agree that you will agree with me that also these pesticides are important, because if we read, it has been found that in Africa, out of what we produce, 25 to 30% is destroyed by pests. So if we let them destroy our crops, then we are not going to have enough. You can imagine if we saved 25% of that produce, that is going to boost our food reserve. But it's like we share almost a quarter of what we produce, 25 to 30% to pests. So the issue of pesticides is very, very important to us. But now it comes with its own problems. One of the problems associated with the pesticides is the cost. The cost of pesticides is very, very high. That I'm talking about synthetic pesticides. It is very, very high and beyond most of the farmers' reach. You will agree with me that we have made programs with the farmers on spraying programs with farmers. And because farmers have in their mind that they have to spray their crops, they have to spray their animals, they have made a routine whereby before even buying the seeds, they will buy the pesticides. And these pesticides take a lot of their money. So we are talking about the cost, which is a factor in pest management that is really affecting our farmers. The other thing is that the farmers have very little knowledge about their use. The farmers will apply according to their knowledge, but do they know how these pesticides are used? The other issue with the pesticides is that they are really, really harmful to us. They are harmful to us and especially our health. They can cause harmful short-term adverse health effects. And in this, I want to classify the human effects of pesticides in about two or three topics. One, I want to call them, they are those pesticides that will cause acute effects and also chronic adverse effects. And acute effects are immediate effects that you will see with the person that is using pesticide. So we are saying that if farmer A applies a certain pesticide, you'll see him itching his eyes or having rashes and having nausea, dizziness. Those are called immediate effects, or what we call acute effects. And they could have diarrhea and also dizziness. Those ones, they can disappear after some time, or after the farmer takes some caution, they will disappear. We have those that are called chronic effects. Chronic effects are long-term effects. Some of them include cancers. There are some pesticides that are unknown of causing cancer. Especially, we have the glyphosate. That this is a pesticide that has always, of recent, been in the media everywhere. A lot of discussions about glyphosate and its effect on people as far as cancer is concerned. And we have also atrazine, which is known to cause different conditions like having lip effects. Those ones are long-term. You will not realize them immediately, but the persistence of those pesticides in our body is going to cause a lot of harm and a lot of problems. Heptachlor is also carcinogenic, and it causes also what we call the liver tumors and many other tumors in the body, and also gastrointestinal problems. So we are saying that there are those problems associated with the pesticides that are short-term, and there are those that are long-term. And with the pesticides are also associated with a lot of memory loss. You will agree with me that of recent, people have lost a lot of memories. And it's because what happens is that pesticides keep on accumulating in our body. And that accumulation, when it reaches what we call the lethal dose, then you start now developing complications that will lead to your death. We always say that death is God-given, but sometimes we we try to encourage diseases, and the head of diseases is death. And other problems we, especially in young children, we have retardation, and a child does not grow as fast as he is supposed to grow. Now, what happens with with the pesticides is that if you spray a particular pesticide, let's say glyphosate, and it is exposed to the environment, there is what we call the level vigor. The level vigor multiplies to double. Like if the level vigor of glyphosate, when it was manufactured, was 40 ppm. When you spray it on glass, it multiplies ×2, so it is 80. By the time it reaches your body, it is going to be 160, and that one is not so good, because you get more than the person, than the organism whose that pesticide was targeted. And that is why I have talked about children. Children are the most affected, because when the mothers take the pesticide into their body, they can be able to remove it through the milk that is suckled by the child. So the child suffers more than the parent, and even more than the grass that was intended to be killed by the pesticide. It is very, very harmful, and so it is something that requires a lot of attention. So in acute health effect, I have just explained that these are immediate effects. Then the chronic ones, they are the long term. They may not come today. You may not realize them today, but you will realize them after a long time, after a lot of accumulation. I already say that some of these pesticides persist in the environment for very, very many years. And for their half-life, for them to reach their half-life, some of them, like the DDT, it takes over 25 years in the environment. And within that time, they do a lot of harm to the people, to the entire environment. And therefore, they are not as good as we may think. Some of them are very, very toxic, that you only require very, very, very small doses. And if you are not careful, a very small pinch of a pesticide can affect your life. And some of these long-term effects, some of them are endocrine disruptors. That is, they interfere with the body functioning, the hormonal functioning of the body. And that is why you find that most of the people nowadays are talking about or when you go to the doctor, you are taught about about hormonal imbalance. You are taught about nerve destabilization and other metabolism and metabolism disorders. So that is the effect of pesticides that we are using. And what the pesticides that we have been using are most of them are imported from the other countries outside. Some of them are imported from the US, others are imported from Europe. And you'll be surprised to see that 70% of what we use in Africa, or particularly, I will talk about Kenya because that is where I am. 70% of those pesticides were banned in those countries of origin many years ago, but they are still being exported into Kenya. The reason why those pesticides are exported into our country without the government banning them is now the question. However, we are in a lot of discussion with the regulators, especially PCPB, so that those what we call highly hazardous pesticides, the HHPs, can be removed from our market. And I'm happy that to say that most of, quite a number of them have been lined up for removal from the market. How the government is going to walk its talk is now the issue. But we are really doing some campaign that pesticides like glyphosate and others can be removed from the Kenyan or from the African market. The other problem with the pesticides is that regulations are not streamlined for all the countries, such that that is being used in Uganda or in Tanzania, and it is banned in Kenya, can easily get into Kenya through our porous borders. So we find that we are getting a lot of chemicals from Tanzania, a lot of chemicals from Uganda, because our borders are not protected, and farmers can exchange the materials that are there, that are found in those countries. So we find that we get very harmful chemicals from other countries. I have given examples of the organic forces and what they do and how they affect our health. And let me say, to summarize it all, is that these pesticides are not safe. There is no pesticide that is safe. And that is why we are saying that it is a killer. The way it will kill an organism is the same way that it will kill us. So we need to take a lot of caution, especially with the way we spray, with the way we even eat. Because if we don't care, nature is going to care. And you will agree with me that you cannot rely on nature. If you destroy nature, including humans, it is going to destroy you. So it is important that we realize that these pesticides are very, very harmful. Some of them, like the pyrethroids, some of them are cancer causing. Some of them are cause very, very funny behaviors in our body. Like the pyrethroids are involved in tremors, salivation, headaches, fatigue, vomiting. All those could be short term. Some of them are long term, and even some you may not realize that you are getting some of those symptoms because of the pyrethroids. Pyrethroids are good if well applied, but we should take a lot of caution. The only problem is that in Kenya, we produce the natural pyrethrum where pyrethroid is extracted. But the problem is that most of that pyrethroid is exported to US and America and Europe, and that one, what we get is a synthetic pyrethroid, which is now more harmful than our natural one. So I would like that if it is possible that we are able to extract our natural pyrethrin, it is important, it will be good for us because it disintegrates very fast and it's less harmful to our environment. Now, we have to be careful when we are using these pesticides because we shall not stop using these pesticides immediately. So what I'm saying is that whenever we are using the pesticides, let us encourage our communities to use them cautiously. Let us use the less toxic pesticides Let us adhere to the safety color code of the pesticides. The other thing is that even the food that we are eating, what can we do in order to make sure that the food that we are eating has less pesticides? Because if you look at the foods and vegetables that we are using, a lot of pesticides are being applied. So what can we do? I always encourage farmers and I train farmers that you should always clean or wash the tomato that you are eating. Wash the cabbage that you are eating. Wash the kale that you are eating. You wash the spinach that you are eating. If possible, use the bar soap. If you can't get other ingredients, wash your tomatoes. Wash your fruits before before eating them. To wash your kale, to wash your spinach before eating it. One way is to wash using the bar soap. The bar soap that has no smell, the bar soap that has no detergent. So use that one. It is very, very important. Then the other one that you can use is what we call the carbonate of sodium carbonate, bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate also removes a lot of pesticides from your fruits and vegetables. So you can also use that. And also, if you get vinegar, vinegar is very, very important that you can use. Put it in water, then wash your vegetables, soak them in for 20 minutes and rinse them properly, and your vegetables, your fruits will be safer to eat. That does not mean that those agents are going to remove 100% of the pesticides that are in those fruits and vegetables, but at least it's going to reduce the amount that you would otherwise have taken. So make sure that you wash. And lastly, if you don't have all those, you can go to the tap and make sure that you clean your fruits, you clean your vegetables. If you can't do with the soap, if you can't do with the baking soda, or if you can't do with vinegar, then just wash. Make sure that every time you are eating your fruit, you wash it thoroughly with water. It also reduces some pesticides. So let us encourage our farmers to remove those pesticides. The other one is, and I'm saying this because farmers are still using these pesticides, and we can't close our eyes and say that they are safe. Let us train the farmers how to handle these pesticides. The safe use of pesticides is a lesson that should be given to all farmers. Let the farmers spray the pesticides very early in the morning or late in the evening. Let them spray along the weed. Let them not smoke while spraying. Let them wear the protective gear when they are spraying. So that lesson should be trained to our communities. And all that said and done, the most important thing is to eliminate all the pesticides if it is possible. When God created the earth, he said that all he created was perfect. It was good. So the human interference is the one that has made the world the way it is. And that is why we are paying. We are getting a lot of diseases. That is why we are getting a lot of body disorders because of what we are eating. It is not healthy. I want to repeat that our health is our wealth. If we don't take care of our health and we think that we are wealthy, then we are cheating ourselves. So when God said that this that I have created is safe, we know that he created so many organisms, and every organism has its purpose in the world. So let us try to conserve the organisms that God created so that they themselves can be able to regulate each other. But if we eliminate one, the nature will bring another one that is going to be more destructive than the original one. So let us try to maintain what God created through using natural systems that are more friendly, that are more healthy, so that we shall enjoy what God has given us. Now, I want now to enter the issue of pest management. Here, I will talk about pest management because as I have said, I don't want to be among those who will eliminate what God has created. I want to keep some numbers of pesticides. And I want to talk about integrated pest management. And the definition I have given is an ecosystem-based approach. Is an ecosystem-based approach. So it looks at the whole ecosystem. It looks at the farm as a system, and it's approach to crop production and protection that combines different management strategies and practices to grow healthy crops and minimize the use of pesticides. That is the simplest method. That is the simplest definition that we can have. So we are saying this is an ecosystem-based approach. And what I want to say is that integrated pest management is not a one approach method. It is not a one method approach. It is combination of different methods, pest management methods that are applied on the farm that will make us reduce the usage of synthetic pesticides and manage the pests that we have to below what we call threshold levels. Threshold levels are levels where I'm forced to use money to manage the pests. So what I'm saying is that I'm going to apply different pest management methods, not one. I'm going to combine different methods to bring the pest population. So I'm not talking about total elimination. I'm talking about reducing the pest population to levels that cause economic injury, or to levels that will cause me to think about using money to go and buy pesticides. So here I'll combine different methods. And in the normal pest control method, you are given a pest. It's an aphid. What is the remedy? It's like it's a certain chemical. So that is not what we are talking about. Here we are saying that whenever I go to the farm and I find that there is a problem, I'm going to combine different methods to keep the pest levels below. So if I find there are 2 or 3, I don't have to go and buy a whole can of pesticide, come and apply. But I only use the appropriate method that is going to reduce the pest population in that farm. And therefore, this is going to reduce on the dangers that I have just explained before. It's going to reduce on the usage of the pesticides. And therefore, our health is going to be enhanced, because if we continue using these pesticides, we are compromising on our health. Therefore, this is what we are going to discuss now. And I think we are going to come up with a recipe, with a method, or with the different methods that we can apply on the farm to help us reduce the use of pesticides. An IPM program involves the following. Now, if you want to practice integrated pest management, the first thing that we always say, you must know your farm. Many of us have turned into telephone farmers. And sometimes we spray even when we don't know what is affecting our crops or our animals. It is important that you know your farm through regular monitoring and inspection and trying to determine the type of problems that are on the sites. When you do that, then you know the appropriate method to use. As I have said, many of us don't even know what is happening in our farm because we have let our farms to be in the hands of chemical distributors. And the other ones who tell you that, okay, right now, a certain pest is about to come, so you should apply a certain pesticide, and you go by them. Okay, your crops will not be attacked, but you start to be at a risk of misuse of pesticides or using the wrong pesticide. So make sure that you do proper monitoring. And when you do proper monitoring and you find that there are some pests, there is a question that I always tell people to ask themselves: what have I done or what have I not done in this farm that is encouraging pests to come into my farm and not go into my neighbor's farm? There could be issues that there could be some interventions that you could take that will, if taken, you will not need to use chemicals. But if not taken, then you get an influx of pests, and that one makes you use pesticides. So ask yourself, what have I done? Or what have I not done that is encouraging the pest to come to my farm? So that is done through proper monitoring of your farm. And we do what we call agroecosystems analysis. And that is done every morning so that any changes that could have occurred within 24 hours, you know them and take the appropriate measures. Then you have to keep records of any changes every day. That one helps you to make decisions that, okay, at this point, I will take this action because yesterday I found that there were 3 caterpillars. So today there are 6. The day after tomorrow, the next day there are 12. So after you keep your record, you will see the trends and including the trend on distribution. There's some pests could be distributed in a certain corner, showing that there are some favorable conditions that are making those pests to go to that corner and not to other corners. So if you fulfill those conditions, then you will not find those pests. So keeping record in IPM is very, very important. And it is something that farmers should be encouraged to do. Then setting of action-based variables. These are levels, or what we call economic injury levels. This is where you will say that when I get to this level, then I have to take this action. So action levels is very, very important. And the actions that we want to establish must be what we say. They must be environmentally friendly, they must be safe, and they also must have to be economically realistic. So that is also very, very important in an IPM program. Then the first thing you start with are what we call the preventive measures. Before you start on a complicated program, I have said that once you ask yourself what you have done and what you have not done that is encouraging your pest to come to your farm, you start talking of how can I do prevent this pest from coming to a farm. Then you're going to set what we call preventive measures, and then you keep on regular evaluation to see if you have the success or failure of your pest management strategies. So if you keep that and you know your farm very well, then I think you're going to do a very good work in IPM. And as we shall go through the IPM components, all the methods, integrated pest management methods, you realize that some of them you don't even realize when you are doing them. But if you do them the right way, they are going to help you to reduce the number of pests that are attacking your crops, that are attacking your animals. So it is important that we follow a good IPM program. Now, let us talk about what we call the integrated pest management methods. And I have said that the first thing that we start with are what we call preventive measures. And preventive, we always say that prevention is better than cure. Don't wait until your pests come. Let us, the first one we are talking about are the cultural methods. The cultural methods are the normal agronomic practices that are carried out in our farms, not necessarily to manage pests, but they end up helping us to reduce the pest population. These are the normal things that farmers do. And if well done, then you will reduce your pest incidences by over 70%. So we are saying that let us encourage our farmers to do the normal agronomic practices. Like, for instance, timely planting. If you plant early, if you plant in time, the pests, you reduce the incidences of pests like caterpillars. Caterpillars, the butterflies lay their eggs during the dry season, but they hatch immediately the rains come. If you had planted and your crops germinate immediately, by the time the caterpillars are big enough to destroy your crops will have grown, and they can withstand the caterpillars. So timely planting is very, very important. Then the issue of soil cultivation, we know it helps in exposing some of the pests and also making sure that some of the disease-causing organisms are exposed to harsh conditions and they die. Then it also encourages healthy crops, and healthy crops can resist pests, can resist diseases. Then we have the issue of weeding. Weeding also helps in pest management. And I have said that these are the normal agronomic practices. We are not doing weeding so that we manage pests. Although we know that pests weeds are pests, but because they compete for nutrients with the plants. So by removing the weeds, your plants are going to have enough nutrients. Some of the pests suck the blood from the animals, and they reduce their quality, they reduce the quality of the skin, and therefore, by proper cleaning of the animal, we reduce those pests. But in crops, we talk about weeding. Some of the weeds act as secondary hosts to pests. So by removing them, the pests will not have hosts, and therefore they can't stay where they have no hosts. The issue of watering is very, very important. Some of the pests come because there is water shortage, especially pests like aphids. They will come because there is water stress. Very, very important. Then the most important one is soil fertility management, organic soil fertility management, because when your soil is fertile, your crops are going to be healthy. And with healthy crops, you find that a child or a person who is healthy withstands diseases, withstands pests, and therefore even the crops, even the animals, they will, if they are healthy, then they will withstand pests, they will withstand diseases. And therefore, let us put a lot of soil fertility measures, including the issue of composting. Farmers, there was a time the government of Kenya had given a directive that there would be no use of low manure. That was a very realistic approach. But the problem is that the approach was given without giving the alternative. Because when you use low manure contains a lot of pathogens. And therefore, if you put it in your farm, it's like you're increasing the pathogens. It's like you're increasing the weed seeds. And but through the process of composting, all those die, and you find that what you are putting in your soil is something that is healthy. So we should encourage farmers to do composting. We should encourage farmers to use organic methods to soil fertility management. Let us encourage farmers to plant trees that add nutrients into the soil. Let us encourage farmers to plant trees that fix nitrogen. Those are the leguminous trees. Let us encourage them to plant leguminous plants so that we improve the fertility of our soil. So soil fertility is very, very key in pest management. You are not doing soil, you are not adding compost so that you manage pests, but you end up managing pests through having healthy plants that can withstand or can assist pests. So it is very, very important, a very, very important factor in crop production. And remember, we are talking about cultural methods. There are normal agronomic practices that we carry out, not necessarily meant for managing pests, but they help us to manage pests. Crop rotation is another one. This is planting of different crops on the same piece of land in different seasons. We know that most of the pests that we have in the field are host specific. A pest that is for kale or sukuma wiki, it will not go into your maize. A pest for that is for the maize will not go to the beans. So if you plant this season, you plant maize. Next season, you plant another crop. It's like you are starving that pest, and it will die, or it will go to another place, and I hope it will not go to your neighbor. So that aspect of crop rotation is very, very important. Then the other thing on crop rotation is that it encourages usage of different amounts of nutrients in the soil, so that if you plant and so that you try to balance your nutrient availability in the soil. When you plant what we call heavy feeders, that class of leafy vegetables, if you plant it, then make sure you know that you have depleted a lot of nitrogen. Then next season, make sure that you plant a crop that is going to return nitrogen into the soil. Then that season, you can plant what we call a moderate feeder or the fruit crops. And then the last season, you can plant a root crop because you want your soil to rest. A root crop like sweet potatoes, a root crop like cassava and such. So it is important to practice crop rotation. And I've said that most of the pests are not host specific. They will not eat anything, but they will eat or they will destroy crops of a specific family. So make sure that you rotate what family each crop belongs. I may not be able to go through the families, but that is something that can be learned. Then the other one is what we call planting appropriate planting material. I have written green planting material, but I'm saying that you will use the right planting material. I'm talking about planting material because here there are people who will use seeds, there are people who will use vegetative propagation. Make sure, one, that the planting material, if you are using the seeds, use the seeds that are not diseased. Make sure that even those farmers that keep their own seeds, make sure that the seeds that are clean, they have no pests, and make sure that they were harvested at the right time. Then for those who are using vegetative propagation, make sure that the cuttings that you are making are not from diseased plants. They are not from plants that are that have bad characteristics. They are not from plants that that are showing signs of retardation, signs of poor growth. Make sure that what you are using are cuts or cuttings that are healthy, cuttings that are you can certify, and because if you use disease cuttings, you'll be spreading the disease from your place, from wherever you are getting the cuttings to your place. I always encourage farmers to establish their own nurseries so that, especially the vegetable nurseries, so that they don't get pest problems from their neighbors. Whenever they go to buy seedlings from their neighbors, they don't know what problems the neighbors have, and therefore they may end up bringing those problems into their farms. Let us encourage our farmers to make their own nurseries. And if they are buying seedlings from other farms, let them make sure that they buy from farms that have been certified by the relevant bodies. Especially in Kenya, we have the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, KEPIS, that certifies nurseries that produce good seedlings, that produce quality seedlings that can be relied on. So the issue of clean planting materials is very, very important. So, and many others, making sure that you a cross-border movement of planting materials is also very, very important. Remember the story of cassava, tobacco mosaic virus, which has really destroyed cassava around the Western Kenya. It came from other countries and it was brought by one person. Remember the case of Tutor absoluta that is really destroying our tomatoes. It came with one person from South America. It came to West Africa. Now it has really affected our East African region. And that is one pest that is making us go even to other countries to look for pesticides, because to make sure that we follow the right regulation when we are getting the planting materials. There are people who smuggle planting materials from other countries, and it is very, very, it is not a good practice, because you never know what you are carrying and the harm that it may bring to our to our crops. So let us try to use clean or appropriate planting materials. And then the other thing on planting or on cultural methods, let us plant what can grow in a specific area. Like tea doesn't grow in a specific area in Kenya. The government has done its research and found that that crop cannot grow. If you try and find that it can't grow, let us not try to force it. Otherwise, because the soils, the nutrient in the soils cannot support that crop. So, so much about the cultural methods. The cultural methods, I've said, are important. Let us not just look at them, because they really help to manage pests although essentially we don't do them so that we manage the pests, but they really help to manage the pests. My second method, and I want to keep on reminding people that we are not talking about one single method. We are talking about different methods to manage the pests to keep them below what we call economic injury levels. So one method we have said is the cultural method, and under the cultural methods we have put a lot of other subtitles. And now we want to go to the second method, which is behavioral method. It involves the deliberate change of behavior of pests by introducing favorable or unfavorable conditions. So you are changing the behavior of a pest. A pest was moving towards a certain direction, but because of something that you have introduced, it is forced to change its direction. It is forced to change its behavior because you have the conditions that you have introduced are unfavorable or are favorable to that pest. So we are saying that one of them is the use of attractants. So under the use of attractants, you are attracting the pests to one area and leaving your target crop. For instance, if I would say that for the tribes in central Kenya, they like a meal, maize and beans. They like maize plus beans. They call it githeri. But the tribe in Western Kenya, they like what we call posho or ugari. That is maize, maize, and they like it very well, ugari and vegetables. So if you don't want people in Western Kenya to eat githeri or maize and beans, what you do is you introduce ugari. Your target meal is maize and beans. But if you introduce ugari, then all the people from Western Kenya will learn to ugari and leave your githeri or your maize and beans, and you'll have no problem with it. So that is one way of what we are saying, attracting pests to one crop, because all the pests, every pest has its preference. We have given an example of planting sunflower in a field of in a maize field that will attract the weaverbirds. Eat both sunflower and maize. But if you introduce sunflower in a field of maize, the weaverbirds prefer sunflower to maize. So all the weaverbirds will go to the sunflower and you will enjoy your maize without any problem. That you have not used any chemical, but you have just cheated the weaverbirds with the sunflower. That is one way of using attractants. There are different ways, but that is a very, very simple way. Then the use of repellents. Repelling is chasing away through introducing unfavorable conditions. So mostly here we use the smell. So what you do is that in a field of vegetables, you introduce things like crops like onions. Many pests don't like the smell of onions, garlic, dhania, Mexican marigold. If you intercrop them with vegetables, they will repel and not chemical. You have not used any harmful pesticide, but you have chased away the pests and they will not attack your crop. So this is what we call behavioral method, and it is a very, very important method if combined with the other methods. Then under this behavioral method, the other method is the use of traps. This is called physical method. The use of traps. You put traps, and here we are saying that we have got what we call the pests that are mammals, antelopes, baboons, Those ones can be trapped. But we also have insect traps. We have the yellow sticky traps that are used for trapping specific pests like the white flies. So when we use them, we are using the physical method. I always say that if you go to a field of a vegetable field and you see 2-3 caterpillars, what would be the most appropriate thing to do? Would it be to go to the shop and buy a whole tin of pesticide, or to just crush them and forget about them? I would say that crushing them would be the easiest method. And that is why we said that you have to do monitoring of your field so that you learn about the pest development and take the appropriate measures. One of them is the use of physical method, which is also very, very important. Now, the other method is biological method. This is the third method that we are putting in our basket of choices, because we have said that in integrated pest management, we put all these basket of choice, and you come and choose according to your environment, according to your to what you have realized you have done, you have not done, that is encouraging them to come. You ask yourself, when I find aphids, is it that I have not watered my crops? Is it that I have not weeded my crops? Is it that I have not put attractants? Is it that I have not put repellents that is encouraging these pests to come? So we have done 3 methods, and the first one was cultural with all the cultural methods. Then the second one, we have put it behavioral and physical. Then now the next one is biological, which now revolves around the use of living organisms to manage pests, or what we call the natural enemies. The natural enemies are the organisms that manage pests. And when God created nature, it has its own balance. Each organism has had its purpose. If you look at any system, there is no organism that has no predator. There is no organism that has no natural destroyer, including man. So we are saying that when God created the earth, he created in its totality. And therefore, he created some organisms that we call the natural enemies. These organisms are there in nature. They keep the balances of other organisms that would otherwise be destructive to our crops. And these organisms are divided into 2. There are organisms that will predate, they will eat other organisms. And there are organisms that will eat their other organisms, or they will feed on the organisms at various stages. It could be at the eggs level, at the larva level, at the pupa stage, or at the adult stage. So at that stage, they hunt on the organism and they feed on them. So that is what we call predation, and those organisms are called predators. Chameleons are predators. Chameleons are predators, and we have got lizards, we have got spiders, we have got the ladybirds. There are many predators. They will predate. They will feed directly on the organisms. And then we have what we call, we have those that will not feed directly on the organism. They will cause conditions that are unfavorable. There are those that will cause diseases. There are those that will not cause diseases, but they will cause what we said, nuisance to the organism. We have those that are called parasites. Those are organisms that during their larval stages feed on pests. They will feed on the pest, but or they will produce chemicals that will destroy the pest. They or they'll enter into a pest, and they will complete their life cycle inside the pest. That is one class of parasitoids. Then there are others that will lay their eggs on the insects, or they lay their eggs on the insect segments, and therefore the insect is not able to move, and the insects will just die. Then we have also pathogens. These are disease-causing organisms, and they include the fungi, the bacteria, and the nematodes. They can be important in controlling pest population because they cause diseases to the crop. Just as there are organisms that will cause diseases to the humans, there are organisms that will cause diseases to the pest. As I say, the nature is complete in its form, in its own form, without disturbance. So there are those organisms that will destroy the pests that really disturb us. So they include, some are bacteria, some are fungi, and I would say that it is good that some of these organisms, there are companies that now have started manufacturing them, and they are commercial. You go to, I think Juanco is currently the leading company that is manufacturing a lot of biologicals, a lot of these pathogens that, and they are being sold on the shelves. So you can find them in these shops, and there are people have been saying, okay, these biologicals are very, very expensive. But I've been telling them that it is important to note that when you apply about a certain pathogen to destroy a pest, that pathogen starts to multiply.
Hello, Daktari. I think you have unmuted. Sorry to interrupt. Also, your PowerPoint has dropped. Hello, Daktari. Please unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now you can put your PowerPoint and then we continue.
Okay. I think we are there.
Yeah, you can put it in presentation. Awesome. We are back.
Yeah, we are back.
Thank you. Proceed.
So what I was saying is that when you apply these pesticide, the pathogens once in your field, then you'll stay for long without using them because they keep on multiplying. They are natural and they keep on multiplying. So I have given examples of some of the organisms that really help us. This is a predatory wasp. They feed on eggs from of other pests and also some insects. Then we have predatory thrips. We have predatory mites. Then we parasitic wasps. You can see that that wasp is ovipositing. It's laying its eggs on the caterpillar. Then we have black-kneed wasps. Then we have dark-kneed fly. All those are organisms that help us in nature. So we need to conserve these natural enemies. Our purpose or what we need to do is not to rely so much on the manufactured or on the packaged organisms. Let us try to conserve these organisms by making sure that we have areas where these disturbance, and also making sure that they have food to eat. So we grow flowering plants that will provide nectar to the wasps, to the flies, and to even the ladybirds, and all these organisms. Let us have some flowers that will make sure that they get food. Mulching and having live fences to provide habitat for ground for natural enemies is also very, very important. Let us make sure that we have live hedges so that, because these organisms like hiding, and if we establish live fences, that is where they will hide and they will survive. The problem is that, especially when we use herbicides, they will kill both the bad organisms, they will kill your weeds, but they'll also kill these natural enemies. If you use the very harmful pesticides, they are non-selective. They will kill everything. They will kill the bees. They will kill the ladybirds. They will kill the hoverflies, the wasps, and therefore your environment is going to be imbalanced, and you get into problems. And yeah, I've said that most of these natural enemies are plenty in nature, and therefore let us try to keep them. The most important thing is that we appreciate the fact that they are available. We appreciate the completeness of our environment, and through that, then we are going to make sure that whatever the intervention that we do, it is going to conserve our environment. Remember, we said for sustainable food production, we are saying that we are producing today. We are producing today, but we don't produce just for today and compromising our production for tomorrow. We are producing today without compromising tomorrow. So let us make sure that the systems that we are using have natural measures that are going to make sure that our production system continues year after year. Let us make sure that we don't deplete our environment today so that we have maximum production. Let us make sure that we produce enough today, but also we have systems that will help us to produce tomorrow. So we make sure that all the systems that we have talked about above, they are in good, they are applied in combination. You have seen that what we have talked about, the cultural methods, those are things that we do every day. Let the farmers do crop rotation. Let them not plant maize every season without planting other crops, because when you do that, it's like you are encouraging the pests to grow in their vigor and even in their numbers. And let us make sure that the farmers use natural systems of soil fertility management, because the use of a lot of chemicals, the use of a lot of fertilizers is also killing our soils. And if you pump a lot of nutrients into the soil, the pH of the soil is going to be changed, and the organisms that used to live there will also migrate, or they will die, and you have an imbalance. So that is why we encourage farmers to also do a lot of monitoring of their soil through having annual soil testing. And if they test their soil, they don't know the pH levels of their soil. But apart from knowing the pH levels of their soil, let them know what plants grow at what pH levels, so that they are able to plant the appropriate crops in the specific pH ranges. So I know that a lot of farmers are not keen in carrying out soil testing, but we as extension agents should encourage our farmers to do soil testing. And I said that if you don't know your farm, then you'll always be getting into problems, and you'll be taking the measures that are not appropriate. So soil testing is part of what we should encourage farmers to do. We have got mobile soil clinics that normally test for the major nutrients. That is, they will do tests for nitrogen, they will do tests for phosphorus, they will do tests for potassium, they will do tests for cation exchange capacity. They will also do tests for pH and also organic carbon. That is good enough for the farmer to know. If the farmer knows the macro elements that are there, that is good enough. But for those farmers who would like also to know the other elements, the micro elements, then there are apps that do that, and they will test. Then it is also important for the farmers to know if their soils are also diseased. So it is important that they do pathogenic levels. The Bible says that my people go along for lack of knowledge. Let us give knowledge to these farmers about the importance of soil testing, which is part of pest management. pH levels. Some pests will survive at the specific soil fertility levels. If you raise the soil fertility levels, then those pests will disappear. Some of them will survive at the low soil fertility levels. Others will survive at the high fertility levels. So it is also important that all of us, the extension agents, know those conditions so that our farmers are knowledgeable. Once, when I was starting, I said that the reason why these farmers use a lot of chemicals and they use them wrongly is not because they want to use them that way. It's because they lack knowledge. And if we train them, if we show them the importance of integrating these other methods, the farmers are going to adhere to them, and they will reduce the use of chemicals. I would just wish that you could do a lot of study on the harm that these chemicals are doing to our environment, on the harm that these chemicals are doing to our bodies, and you find that most of the diseases that are being treated today, they are being treated because they are self-inflicted, because it's because of the chemicals that we are using. We could say that we are a bit safe because we are living in towns, but the farmers who are even using those chemicals are even safer, because for them, most of them will have their own kitchen gardens, and in those kitchen gardens, they don't spray anything for the market. They will spray them with a lot of chemicals. And who eats the chemicals? We are the ones who eat the chemicals in the towns. So it is important that we go to the villages and encourage these farmers to use the appropriate method. Now, the last one is what we call the chemical method. We are saying that after all the methods have failed, remember we said that you have to do monitoring, you have to do recording, you have to do setting of threshold levels. Now, after you find that your pests are increasing in number, then you say that we talk about the last resort. And this is the chemical method. And in agroecology, we encourage the use of what we call the more botanical pesticides. We have said so much about the use of the other methods. And for this, for the chemical methods, we are mostly also concerned. What I want to say is that even these botanical pesticides, a pesticide is a pesticide. There are people who have been telling farmers that botanical pesticides are safe to use. Okay, they are safe to use, but if not well administered, they can also affect our farmers. So we are saying that these are plants that are sources of botanical pesticides, and they are easily available in the environment, and most of them have multiple uses. So some of them are used as medicines, spices, ornamentals, and some of them are even used as food. And some of these pesticides, botanical pesticides, have also been commercialized. So what we are saying is that the most important thing about botanical pesticides is that when farmers extract them from the plant, they are not stabilized. They have not been put, no preservatives have been put. So they can easily disintegrate. Within hours, they easily disintegrate, and they are good. The other one is that because they disintegrate very fast, they do not leave residues or co-produce and on the environment. They therefore contribute to environmental conservation and ensuring safety to the consumers. So I've said that although they could be dangerous, they will disintegrate within hours, and therefore they will cause less harm to the environment. But remember, I'm saying less harm to the environment, because if not well administered, some of them are very, very poisonous. We have got like the Senadinium compactum, which is used against East Coast fever in livestock, which is a very, very dangerous plant, and it can kill very fast. So, but farmers are using it to cure East Coast fever, which is good. But if it is taken by humans, then it can kill very fast. So we should take these pesticides, botanical pesticides, with the caution. The interaction between botanical pesticides and the pest is naturally biochemical, therefore pests are unlikely to develop resistance. So we are saying that the other pesticides, the synthetic pesticides, when you apply them, pests are likely to form resistance. They are likely to mutate, because that is why the manufacturers keep on bringing in other new and more sophisticated pesticides, because it's purely chemical. But here we are saying that most of these botanical pesticides interfere with the biological system of the pesticides, and therefore they are most likely to develop, the pests are most likely to develop resistance. The plant-based chemical compounds and extracts and essential oils are target specific, which ensures safety on non-target organisms. So a specific botanical pesticide will target a specific pest, and therefore the other organisms are safe when they interact with these biopesticides. So we are saying that they also have very little allopathic systems on the crops, depending on the concentration and the source of the plants. As I said, some of these could be even more dangerous to humans and other crops than even some of the synthetic pesticides. But depending on the source, they could be safer. Botanical pesticides exhibit, let us talk about the mode of action. They exhibit varied modes of action on the target pest, such as repellents. Some of them will repel the pest, then they will cause toxicity, growth regulation, structural modification, making them suitable alternatives in crop pest management. Now, they have different modes of action. Some of them will affect the growth of the pest. Some of them will even make the pest grow very fast and therefore die very fast. Others will make what we call growth retardation. Therefore, we have different modes of action, but others will cause toxicity to the pest. They interfere with the insect behavior. Some of them will make them they will affect their neural system, and therefore they will make them not active. Physical, biological activities, biochemical processes, morphology, metabolic pathways, they have different modes of action. So we are saying that there has been a lot of interest in use of the biochemical, the botanical pesticides, but we have the bottom line is that all these are chemicals, and because we are saying that they are pesticides, they have what we call the active ingredients, and those active ingredients are the killing components of the botanical pesticides. And examples of those, we have the neem. The active ingredient of neem is azadirachtin, and azadirachtin, we are saying that it bites the pest receptors, therefore disrupting the nervous system. So when the nervous system of the pest is interfered with, what is going to happen is that the pest becomes very weak, and also psychologically the pest does not think. So it will just stay there, and eventually it will die of hunger, or it will die because it is not moving. So we have what others like garlic. We have got others like aloe. We have, and even the Getes minuta. And so we are saying the behavior or the mode of action of pesticides, botanical pesticides, depend on the host pests. And we are saying that they will affect different parts of the body. They will affect different parts systems of the pests. But while we are saying that, we also take note that synthetic pesticides are more specific on their targets, are mostly neurotoxicants with similar end results as the botanical pesticides. So that's why you will be told to buy a chemical that's a pesticide that will kill the caterpillar. You'll be told to buy a pesticide that is going to kill an aphid, because their target host specific. Yeah, I've tried to give I'm just wanted to qualify that these pesticides, botanical pesticides, are of plant nature, but they contain chemicals that are killers. Like we have got a plant called Tephrosia bojeri. Tephrosia bojeri is a legume, and it is the common name is the fish poison bean. And this one is mostly used in Western Kenya, in Nyanza, by fishermen. They go to the lake, to the ponds, and you put the fish poison bean in the water, and the fish just float, and you take them and eat. This one, it has a chemical called rotenone, and which is insecticidal. And rotenone, apart from Tephrosia bojeri, we have other plants like the deli species that also have rotenone. And the extraction is simple. It is by use of soap. You can use the use of soap, but rotenone is a powerful inhibitor of cellular respiration. So this is the process that converts nutrient compounds into energy in the cellular levels. You find that when insects are exposed to retinol, there is what we call cessation of feeding. The insect does not feed, and when it also causes drowsiness, and therefore the insect does not think, and therefore eventually the insect will die. This is what we call Tephrosia bojeri, and there we have got different types of Tephrosia. The one that has purple leaves is the one called Tephrosia bojeri, and that is the one. And we have nicotine. Nicotine, we know that it is among the most important killers in the world. It is actually classified, I don't know whether it has been removed, but it was classified as one of the 12 chemicals that are the worst killers in the world. So this one contains this chemical called nicotine, and this one affects the nerve system of the insects, and therefore, when the nervous system is affected, the insect is not able to move. The insect dies naturally, slowly, and this one should be taken with caution. Nicotine is a killer, and even in humans, and when applied, caution should be taken. It has we encourage farmers not to eat the produce before 14 days because it's a bad killer, and therefore I've said that it affects the neural system of the insect or the organism. Then we have neem. Well, neem contains a chemical called azadirachtin. Azadirachtin can be gotten from neem. It can be got, which is Azadirachta indica, or it can be gotten from other trees like Melia vokensi, Melia azadirachta. But the most important one is contained in neem. And what happens is that neem affects the growth of organisms, and it also repels, and also it also affects the nervous system of the pest. Most of these botanical pesticides are not knockdown pesticides. They will not kill immediately. Just as I said before, they affect the biochemical system of the pest, and therefore, if the biochemical system of the pest is interfered with, the pest growth is also interfered with. So they will not kill immediately, but they will kill slowly through actions that will inhibit the normal development of the pest. That is the Azadirachta indica. It is the neem. It is the neem, and what you use, you can use the seeds, you can use the leaves, you can use the roots, but the most concentration is in the roots. But normally we encourage farmers to use the leaves of the seeds, because you can't, if you uproot the plant, then you are that's not good. I don't think I'm going through this. It's very small, and I just want to say that we now have biological or botanical pesticides that are in the market, and you only need to go and get them in the market, and they have got their own active ingredients. I have said that the leading company that is manufacturing botanical pesticides is Juanco, and they have quite a big range of botanical and biological pesticides that will help farmers. Those who want to spray, they can you can buy, put them in water, and then you go and spray. Then what we have said is that the most important thing is make sure that you maintain the organisms that God has given you in the environment. And I have also I want to say that farmers have also been able to make their own botanical pesticides. And I didn't include them in my presentation because different botanical pesticides are used in different regions by farmers. Farmers have made their own research. What we need to do is to make sure that we enhance the farmers' knowledge and take that knowledge and try to give it some scientific backup, so that if a farmer is using piri piri or is using hot pepper, let the scientists take that and see what is in hot pepper that is killing the pest. If the farmer is using a certain plant, Idonia, let us make sure that the farmer knows what is in Tizonia that is killing a specific pest. So I want to say that farmers have a lot of knowledge, and if it is enhanced with scientific knowledge, then it is going to help us. The problem is that we want to lose our heritage. We want to lose the knowledge that we have and replace it with the knowledge that is coming from the West. That is why we are also trying to replace our seed systems. That is why we are trying to replace our planting materials and bringing in the materials from the West. And who said that our materials are not good? I think we need to work around it. And that is why I really am happy with the organizations that are really promoting our local seed system. The organizations that are really promoting our local planting materials, organizations that are promoting our local pest management systems, because those are safe and they are adapted to our environment. If you bring new systems, they will come with their own problems that we cannot be able to solve. So let us all join hands in making sure that whatever we are using, it is adapted to the local environment. Let us make sure that whatever system we are using, it is adapted to our culture. It is adapted to our environment. And then the other thing is that let us make sure that we don't lose our seed system. We know that there are regulations against the local seed systems, but is that right? We should be able to use our seeds that are more resistant, that are more tolerant to our harsh environmental conditions. And I think if we're nurtured, I think they'll give us the same amount of produce as the other seeds that we have. I've just given an example of using lime sulfur blue. This is used by farmers. It's a fungicide, and the process. And those are just ways of making lime sulfur blue. And this one, I don't want to dwell into it so much because it's an expensive venture. But lime sulfur blue is allowed in organic agriculture. So that brings me to the point that if at all you want to use pesticides, use those that are allowed under organic agriculture. And I think they have been classified very well by the International Federation of Organic Agriculture movement, that mostly the copper-based or sulfur-based pesticides can be used in organic agriculture. Therefore, let us encourage farmers to use systems that are really environmentally friendly, systems that are going to help us to maintain what God has given us. Lastly, I want to encourage organizations to come together and work around research on some of the botanical pesticides that we have. Because if the botanical pesticides are taken by the private companies, they come with their cost. But if we do research on them and farmers are able to formulate them in their own farms, then they are going to help us to reduce the cost of production. Let us look at systems that are environmentally friendly. Let us look at the systems that will help us to maintain our to maintain our health. As I have said, our health is our wealth. Let us not produce crops, or let us not produce products that are going to be harmful to us, that will interfere with our generation today and the generation to come tomorrow. I want to stop at that and say thank you very much for listening to me, and let us continue interacting and through the social media, and you can also visit us. We are based in Ruiro, but we have demonstration centers in different parts of the country, and we can interact and share and even work together on this issue of pest management. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daktari. For me, I've taken some points home. We need to trace our food. We need to know how it was grown. Are they harmful to us? Also, the tip about always washing our food before we produce, like eating. For example, vegetables, you can use vinegar, soak it for like 20 minutes, and then you rinse, and then you eat. I like that. Now we have some questions online, and some of those questions are touching on soil and pH, because you said if you have good soil, you have less pests, pests. So there are some questions from our followers. And there are so many, there are around 7. So how do we go about it?
I don't know how we go about it. I don't know whether you can post them, then I can I can answer them to specific people, or how do we do it?
Maybe I mention in like a few, and then you respond, because we are supposed to finish at 12. So that's from fine. Michael Murray, he's asking, how can I know that my soil is dead? And then also, how do you check on pH? How do you test on pH, and how much it costs?
Yes, that's a good question. How he knows about whether his soil is dead? Yeah, I think there are different methods of knowing whether your soil is dead. If your soil does not have organisms, one of the components of soil is living organisms, and living organisms are divided into macro and micro. And you just see that there are no organisms grow in your soil. Then you realize that there is a problem with your soil, especially the macroorganisms. Then we also help farmers. To look whether his soil has microorganisms. For soil testing, the labs will tell you the pH of your soil. Although naturally there are some crops that will grow in acidic soils. There are some grasses that will grow in acidic soils, and you realize that your soil is acidic. For you to be certain, we have what we call the pH meters that will test the soil pH. There are some pH meters that cost us a little as 1,500, and farmers can, those who are serious can afford, and they can test the pH.
Thank you.
So for us, I want to say that we have a lab in Ruiro, but we don't test only pH. We test at either the pH plus other factors, and we charge very little We charge 2,000 for one sample. It's not much.
Thank you. Then a question from Anita. What is the appropriate frequency of application for biopesticides and at which stage?
That is a very important question. What has happened is that most of these companies that are manufacturing synthetic pesticides have given an application regime. So, but in IPM, we always say that you go by the program that you have set. If you find that they are pests, then you apply what we have given. But if you find that there are no pests, you don't need to apply. We don't give application routines. Well, because why are you applying if you don't have any pest problem? And that is why we say that when we talked about the IPM components, we talked about monitoring. So you monitor to see whether there are any pest developments in your farm. If there are no pest development in your farm, then you don't have to apply. That's why we don't give a regime. The other thing I said is that for some of those biologicals, then once you apply, they will keep on multiplying in their farm, and therefore they will make your farm even richer in organisms. So we don't give a regime, we don't give a timetable.
All right. Another question from her. Are there plants found locally used to make biopesticides? I know you mentioned about the Frosia and tobacco. Maybe you can mention other plants.
We have got different plants that are used to make pesticides for both crops and animals. And they are found in different parts of the country. So, and farmers know a lot of them. Like we have Mexican marigold, Tegetes minuta, which is very good in managing root knot nematode. We have talked about plants that like Derrick. We have got Securidaka. We have got different crop plants growing in different areas of the country. We have got neem. We have got the Frosia, as I mentioned. We have got different plants in different parts of the country.
Thank you. I think I'll finish on question, but the question from Ravi. If the soil is acidic, how can I remove, or what do I do to remove acidity from soil?
Yeah. Normally, the conventional way or the normal method is to use agricultural rime. You spread agricultural rime during the dry season. It is going to modulate your pH. So that's the easiest that you can do.
All right. There are no more questions. If you have any question on Zoom, please raise your hand. If not, maybe Daktari, you can share your email and number to our listeners who want to reach you.
Yes, my number is 0706 966 980. 0706 966 980. If you are from outside Kenya, then you can write +254 706 966 980. Then my email is n.mihindo@e-ipma.org. n.mihindo@e-ipma.org.
And also your Facebook, maybe for those who want to follow you.
Yeah, my Facebook is Nehemiah Mihindo. Nehemiah Mihindo. Just that.
All right. Okay. I'm going to post on Facebook all the information, including the page for effective IPM. In case you have maybe follow-up questions, you have Pest and you want to solve that, I'm going to share. I think we have some master trainers online. I need to recognize their presence. If you're a master trainer, please unmute. We need to recognize you.
Hello, Latemo. This
Hello.
is Maggie Kawiye from Uganda.
Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Nehemiah. Thank you so much. Hey, bye-bye, Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's Margaret. Have Grace. Grace, say hi to our followers.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Mihindo, thank you for the great work. The facilitation.
Thank you.
You shared a lot of information that is very beneficial, not only to the farmers, but also to the trainers and everyone else. Ratemo,
thank you.
Kazimuri.
We also have other people online. If you can unmute, say hi before we finish.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is Betty from Uganda. I'm so glad to be part of this webinar. Doctor, thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Betty. Betty is our person in Uganda. She is implementing our project in Uganda. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. And thank you to PELUM for organizing this. Thank you so much.
Much appreciated. Anyone else who wants to say hi before we finish? Robert, I see you're online.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, that was a powerful presentation. My concern, maybe I wanted to ask, you will find that farmers are using certified seeds or seedlings, but in that case, we will find most of them, the water that they are using, maybe it's sewage water. Do we also take those products to be pure, or what do we do?
What?
I'm saying,
yes,
farmers will use certified seeds.
Yes.
But you will find that the water that they are using to maybe irrigate their plants is sewage water.
Yes.
Yeah, how can we advise them on that?
Let us advise them on the issue, the risk that they are putting on the consumers, because sewage water contains a lot of pollutants, and it's not good. And on the seeds, we have said that let us try to encourage the farmers to use their own seeds. Let us have seed systems, local seed systems that farmers can use. Let us encourage the farmers not to use sewage water.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have maybe something to say to our followers, Robert?
Pardon, please.
Do you want to say something to the people who are listening?
Maybe I can tell them I have heard what the doctor said, and I think that is a very important information that farmers need to hear and also need to put into practice so that we can improve our production.
For sure. Thank you so much. Dr. I want to give you a few minutes. You give us a parting shot. Tell us something before we finish.
I'm also happy to have shared with you that information. And what I would like to say is that let us try to use systems that are healthy. Let us try to use systems that will help our farmers to reduce the amount of chemicals that is being put into our environment. And therefore, we are going to have sustainable food production in our farms that is going to take care of today and not compromise on tomorrow. So I'm very happy that people have listened to me. And I think that going forward, we are going to encourage these systems that are more long-lasting, systems that are more sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And for everyone who was joining us from wherever you are, thank you so much. I'm going to tag Dr. Mihindo. In case you have other questions, you can direct to him. He's a master trainer. He's ready to assist you. And for other master trainers who we have in KCOA project, we're going to have other webinars. So stay tuned and thank you so much for tuning. So we are going to share everything on social media. So I think now we can just turn our videos. We say bye to our listeners and then we release. If you can turn your camera, just say bye to them. Grace. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you so much
Bye.
for joining. See you
Thanks
next
so much.
time.
Bye.
Bye, Ratemo.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you. Thank you.
Doctor.